Hey friends at Empower Oviedo, this is Kelly. I'm actually currently in Texas right now, and we were at Hope City Church in Houston visiting them, learning from them, and it was a lot of fun. They're a great church and they're great friends of Actions, but we really did miss you guys at Action Oviedo this weekend. And so missed you, but I'm super excited that you guys had asked me to still kind of share via video. So just to put it in context, we are driving right now from Houston to Austin. I'm going to be visiting my sister, and that's where I am tonight. Currently is in Austin visiting. So thank you guys. But I did want to also say that I want to personally invite you guys next Monday, which is the last night of Empower. I want to invite you to our big Empower celebration, where we're going to celebrate all that God has done this semester in Empower. And wow, it's been incredible. And so just thank you guys for attending the group and for leading one another. And we're just going to celebrate that on Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun, and there may or may not be a dance party at the end. So get on your dancing shoes, bring a friend, and we definitely want to see you next Monday. So we'll see you there for sure. So so I want to go ahead and get started. I'm actually going to speak tonight. It's kind of weird talking to my phone, but I'm going to speak tonight to you guys and share a little bit about balance. And this kind of topic I love because, well, you'll know why. So I had to shift hands. So first of all, if you're anything like me, you've strived your whole life for this work-life balance, right? And you see all these people with it. But I wanted to share a few things with you guys that I've learned in the last couple of years. And that is that balancing work, life, your faith, your friends, your family, that it's actually kind of a lie. I know. Crazy, right? It's not real. And that sounds crazy. What do you mean it's not real? I hear about work-life balance all the time. And so this was kind of like a huge freeing moment when I realized that it kind of is a lie, because it's really kind of unrealistic, and it just, a perfect balance in life doesn't necessarily exist. And those are some definite statements, but I did want to kind of explain it a little bit, because when we strive for this balance, this perfect balance in our life, we're basically setting ourselves kind of up for failure. And I noticed that really in my own life, that I would think I had it all together, and then something would happen and I would just feel like a failure. And really the enemy would work in me and tell me that there is this perfect balance and this perfect mom or wife or this perfect friend or whatever to strive for, because I would look at other people and say, well, gosh, they're doing it, they're a great mom, or their kids look perfect, or their husband, they don't ever fight, or they're the perfect Christian and they always post great devotionals online, and you think well, it exists, right? Because I see it right in front of me every single day. But to be honest, we're all struggling with this same thing, this strive for balance. And I think when we realize it's not real, it kind of gives a lot of grace to our own lives. And that's really right what Jesus does. He gives us so much grace. And so for me, it was just a huge kind of weight off my shoulders when I realized I didn't have to be perfect, and I didn't have to be perfect at everything. And so I looked up the definition of balance, and the definition of balance, I'm going to read it to you guys, is something being divided perfectly in our lives. Perfectly. So it's nothing is ever divided perfectly in our lives. It is unrealistic. See, it's even in the definition. And I wanted to kind of actually share a funny story with you guys about this. So I kind of pride myself. I have 3 kids. Elijah is 9. He's our oldest. He's a boy. I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they're both girls. And my kids in the morning do a great job being self-sufficient. They can get themselves ready. They get dressed, they make their breakfast, they even make their lunches. And I kind of pride myself in this, my kids are independent and they get ready, and it's awesome. But this actually happened a couple weeks ago. I looked over in the car on the way to school, and I noticed that Eli had these pants on that are his favorite pants. I know they're his favorite pants. They have a little rip in them, and he has to wear a uniform to school for context. And so he has to always wear khaki pants. And so I said, Eli, did you wear those pants yesterday? And he's like, he kind of changes the subject, and I don't really think much of it. And then that was like on a Tuesday. And then fast forward to Friday, and I go to do laundry, and I look in his hamper, and he has one pair of pants, and it's the pants with the rip in them. And I go to him and I said, Elijah, did you wear the same pants to school every single day this week? And he looks at me and he laughs and he says, yeah, Mom, they're my favorite pants. And I was like, you can't do that. Like, you cannot wear the same pants to school every single week. Like, that is a no-go. That's a failure. And he looks at me and he's like, well, nobody noticed. And I said, well, that doesn't make it, I'm like, that doesn't make it right. And he said, well, you didn't even notice. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, face palm, mom fail. And where I thought it was really like winning, right, at this whole mom thing, with my kids being self-sufficient, my child, and I didn't even notice it, was wearing the exact same pants to school every single day. And I laugh about it now just because, like, you know, you think you're winning, and now I have to actually teach him. Yes, it's great to be self-sufficient, but now I'm figuring out and balancing out how to teach him hygiene at the age of 9. So that's fun. But so with that, I just kind of wanted to talk about how, right, like, that example is really showing how even that mom life, it shifts. So where I was winning at one thing, then I find that I'm failing at something else, and I have to kind of just shift it. And I think that, like, our life, right, it's not perfectly balanced because it's always shifting. And in fact, in Ecclesiastes 3, and go and read it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you read Ecclesiastes 3, it starts off with just saying, like, right, our lives are full of seasons, or every part of our life is a season. And if in the Bible it's telling us that we're shifting, why do we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfectly even all the time and to have it all together? It's just unrealistic. And so I wanted to give you guys some practical kind of points to this, right? Like, how do you find balance, if you will, even though it's not real, but how do you find that? And I think it starts with really being honest about who you are. And in the very first week, we talked a little bit about, like, identity. And Vanessa did such a great job. And it really is, if you know who you are, and you know, and we're not really even we're going to call them pillars, right? You know, the pillars of your life. That's the first step. And so I want to challenge you guys to kind of discover your pillars. And if you're like, I have no clue what she's talking about with pillars, I'm going to give you an example of my personal pillars, and kind of what I stand on every single day, what my focus is for my day to day. And so the first is that I'm a Christ follower, right? I love Jesus, and he is my number one, and he is my center. And to be honest, I strive every day to make that number one. So that is my first pillar. My second pillar, and this is going to sound a little crazy, but my second pillar is me. And when I say me, I mean, like, self-care. Like, I need to take care of myself. And the reason why I'm number two, because trust me, my natural tendency isn't to be that way, is because if I can't take care of myself, then I can't take care of my number 3 and my number 4, which is my husband and my family. So who I am, I'm a Christ follower, right? But I'm also a wife. That's my number 2. And I'm a mom. But if I don't take care of myself, I can't be really good at those two things. So there's that. And then the fourth one is that I'm a friend, right? And so those are my relationship with my friends and my family and those around me. And then finally, my fifth one is that I'm a leader. And so I have the privilege of serving on Action staff as an event director. And so my team, I lead my team. I lead Empower, right? So Empower you guys. And so I lead at our Oviedo location. And so I love the fact that God has called me to be a leader. And so that's one of my pillars as well. So just to kind of reiterate those, we have that I'm a Christ follower, right? I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a friend, and I'm a leader. And so those are my 5 pillars that I'm going to work hard to balance. And so again, I don't really like the word balance, and because it kind of looks like a scale. And I think really in life, it's not so much of a scale, but we think that I'm going to give you an illustration. we think that balance, or those 5 pillars, is like juggling 5 balls in the air, right? So we're juggling, we're just trying to keep them up in the air, and that's where we kind of get sideways. Because I think the truth is that if these 5 pillars are the 5 things that are important, how am I'm not need to be juggling them as much as I need to be protecting them, right? So I'm protecting what is important, and what makes me function best as a person, and it's those 5 pillars that I explained earlier. And so if we can shift that mindset from juggling, where things are just always going to fall, and we can shift that to protecting them, then yeah, things that can get through the cracks sometimes, but we just have a little bit of grace there. And so that's the first challenge I have, and the first practical point is to know kind of who we are, know what those pillars are in our life. And then the second thing that I want to challenge you guys with is how to protect it. And so for me, this is what I'm super passionate about. Kind of ask Ashley. Ashley knows a little bit. I've kind of talked to her about really how I guess, protect these things. And I'm a huge, passionate person when it comes to naming your time. Like, I love to plan. And here's the deal. The biggest pushback people will always say is, I just don't have time to plan. And I get that. Like, I'm super busy, but I can tell you that if I prioritize in the beginning of my week time to plan or name my time, then if I can do that, then it sets my week up on the right foot. And so I'm going to kind of give you guys some practical what I mean by this. And so the first thing is I kind of take those pillars and I just schedule them. Like I literally name my time on my iCalendar. And just to rewind a little bit, if I don't name my time, eventually time's going to kind of take over. And instead of working out, or instead of reading my Bible, or instead of being intentional with my kids, all of a sudden I catch myself on Instagram way more hours than I need to be, or watching a lot of TV, or just browsing the internet, like searching who knows what. And so I think that I find that happening to me if I'm not necessarily naming my time. And when I name my time, I'm more productive. And I think that's what we kind of really are striving for with that balance, right? It's productivity. So I could go on really forever about this, so I'm just going to give a couple of points. So I talked about those pillars, those 5 pillars. So my first one, being a Christ follower, I actually put on my calendar a time to read my Bible. And this is super important to me. And just to be quite honest and transparent, it doesn't happen every day, right? Like I try to read my Bible every day, and for the most part I do, but I put in my calendar a time block to wake up at 6 a.m. every single morning to read my Bible and journal. And it's really hard for me to wake up. And I even put an alarm, right, that says, Kelly, wake up, read the Bible, don't fail on yourself, you can do it today, just to remind me. But the thing is, like, I don't always wake up, and some days I do fail, but I do try to pick it up still later that day. But when I do wake up and when I do name that time, I can tell you that my day is like already set. And so I really just challenge you guys to, if you don't already start first with Jesus, to really try. For so long, I didn't do that, and I would just try to find other times in my day. But when I start my day, even before I wake up with my kids and everything, it's just, I find it super helpful for me. But so my first one is to name my time. So I actually name my time with the Lord. The second one is as a wife. And so Tyler and I have a great relationship, and we talk all the time, but I found that we weren't having a consistent date night, and for us that's hard to do late at night. So I was just super creative, and we did every other week, like on a lunch, right? I just did something different, and I found that that's actually helped prioritize him and him to prioritize me. Just a small, consistent 1 hour every other week thing, but I named that time with him. Otherwise I would be right, we're doing other things, and I'm allowing groups and time with friends to kind of get in front of him, which he is my number 2. The second one is intentional time with my kids, or is my third one, I'm sorry. And so I even named that, like, after school, the kids could either do like homework, or get into watching TV, or I'm doing some things for work that I didn't get to do that day, and all of a sudden I'm not spending time with them. So I'll set the expectation early and say, hey, we're going to train for a 5K. This is actually a new thing we've been doing. And the kids get excited. They get to skip their homework for an hour while we train for this 5K. And I just set that time, and I do it in the beginning of the week for 2 to 3 times, whatever works best for our schedule. And I find that when I set it and I put it in my calendar, it actually happens rather than just saying, hey, we should do this week. And that same thing goes with friends. How many times do you say, hey, we should get together, and you never do? Like, be intentional about saying, hey, we should get together. What day works for you? And then you actually put it on your calendar. You set a time, you set a place, and then you're being intentional with that time with your friends and family. And then same thing as a leader. You guys are all leaders. Leadership is influence. You all have influence, and so whether that's attending or leading a small group, right, or leading in your team, you schedule time. You know that I'm serving on Sunday, and that you make a commitment to be there. And so those are things that I do. I name my time. I make sure those 5 things are in every week, and it really just sets my week up for success. It balances my week, and then everything else kind of comes in. But as long as those things take I feel like I prioritize them, and that's really the ultimate win with that. And so the last thing, because I know I'm going a little over time, I want to talk to you guys. I just want to end with a verse, 1 Corinthians 13:13. You guys have all heard it before, probably at a wedding. It says, 3 things will last forever: faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. And I just thought that was such a cool verse for this topic, mainly because, right, we talked about those pillars, and faith was the first one that was mentioned in that scripture, and faith is the first pillar that we all should have. And so something that we just name that time with our time with the Lord. And then hope, right? I think that kind of connects with maybe even our calling. Like, what does God want for my life? And so if we can identify who we are, it helps us to be obedient to that calling. And then love, right? That encompasses all things, but especially community. And I think that we're called to be part of a community, and usually those pillars are gonna, mind you anyway, and I'm sure yours, with friends or relationships, being a mom or a wife, or even just a leader. Those are all relationship. God has called us to be in relationship and in community. That's what we're doing here today and together. And that's just something that I think if we prioritize those things, we can make a big difference. And so I love you guys. Get your questions together, hopefully. And I know Vanessa and Ashley are going to do a great job kind of helping to navigate any questions you guys have. And then I will see you guys all at the Empower celebration on Monday, May 6th. Can't wait to see you. It's going to be awesome. I love you. See ya.